Understanding on-path attacks. How they work. An on-path attack, formerly called a man-in-the-middle attack or MITM, is a type of cyber attack where the attacker intercepts and potentially alters the communication between two parties, like a user and a website or a client and a server. The attacker positions themselves in the communication path without either of the legitimate parties knowing and can manipulate or steal information. How do on-path attacks work? Interception. The attacker secretly intercepts data traveling between two communicating parties, for example, your web browser and a website. Eavesdropping. The attacker can then read, modify, or even inject malicious content into the communication. Data manipulation. In more advanced cases, the attacker can alter the data being sent, such as changing the contents of an email, modifying the transaction amount in an online payment, or injecting malware into a seemingly innocent file. Decryption, in some cases. If the communication is encrypted, the attacker may use various methods to decrypt the data, such as using stolen encryption keys or exploiting weak encryption. Types of on-path attacks. Packet sniffing. The attacker simply listens to network traffic to steal sensitive information like passwords, credit card numbers, or login credentials. Session hijacking. The attacker steals a session token, often used to identify users in web applications, to impersonate the user and gain unauthorized access. SSL stripping. The attacker downgrades an encrypted HTTPS connection to an unencrypted HTTP connection, allowing them to view all communication in plain text. DNS. Spoofing. The attacker manipulates the DNS server to redirect users to fake websites that look like the real ones, allowing them to steal sensitive information like login credentials. Real-life example. The coffee shop. Wi-Fi scenario. Imagine you're at a coffee shop, using their free Wi-Fi to check your email. An attacker who is also on the same Wi-Fi network could use an on-path attack to intercept the communication between your laptop and the email server. Interception. The attacker can see everything you're sending or receiving because all your communication is passing through their device. Eavesdropping. They might steal your username and password or read your private emails. Data manipulation. If you're logging into a bank account, the attacker could modify the information, like redirecting funds to their account. SSL stripping. If you're using an insecure HTTP connection, the attacker can view all the information in plain text. In this case, the attacker is on the same network path as you, and that's why it's called an on-path attack. Question and answer. Understanding on-path attacks. Question. What makes on-path attacks dangerous? Answer. On-path attacks are dangerous because the attacker can intercept, read, and potentially alter communications between two parties without either of the legitimate parties knowing. Explanation. These attacks are particularly dangerous because they allow the attacker to manipulate sensitive data. For example, if you're logging into your online bank account, the attacker could intercept your login credentials, use them to steal money, or even inject malicious content like malware into the transaction. Key risks of on-path attacks. Loss of confidentiality. The attacker can read sensitive information, such as passwords, personal data, or financial details. Data integrity. The attacker can modify or manipulate the data in transit, leading to potential fraud or other malicious activities. Impersonation. By hijacking a session or intercepting a communication, the attacker could impersonate a trusted party, like your bank or your friend, and trick you into taking harmful actions. Question: how can on-path attacks be prevented? Answer: on-path attacks can be prevented through encryption, secure protocols, and public key infrastructure, PKI, to ensure data integrity and confidentiality. Explanation: the best way to prevent on-path attacks is by ensuring that communication is securely encrypted so that even if the attacker intercepts it, they won't be able to read or modify the data. Techniques to prevent on-path attacks. Use HTTPS. HTTPS encrypts web traffic, making it hard for attackers to read or modify data. Always look for the padlock symbol in the browser URL bar. Public key infrastructure, PKI. PKI ensures that both parties have proper keys for encryption and authentication, reducing the risk of interception. VPN, Virtual Private Network. A VPN encrypts your entire internet connection, making it much harder for attackers to intercept your traffic, even on public networks. Two-factor authentication, 2FA. Even if an attacker steals your credentials, 2FA adds another layer of protection, requiring a second form of authentication, like a text message or app code. Question: what is SSL stripping in on-path attacks? Answer: SL. Stripping is a type of on-path attack where the attacker downgrades an encrypted HTTPS connection to an unencrypted HTTP connection. Explanation: in an SSL stripping attack, the attacker intercepts a connection that is supposed to be secure, HTTPS, and forces the user's browser to connect to an unsecured version of the site, HTTP. This allows the attacker to view the traffic in plain text, potentially stealing sensitive data. Example of SSL stripping. Imagine you're visiting a website like your bank, which should be accessed over HTTPS, secure connection. An attacker intercepts this connection, strips the encryption, and connects you to the non-encrypted version of the website. Now, your login details and all other information are sent in plain text, allowing the attacker to read and potentially steal them.